Since I was talking about on Mount Beasley, I'll tell you about the old house that was there. It was originally an old log house that had a room on either side, and it was opening all the way through the middle. Of course, throughout the years, it was enclosed, and the weatherboarding was put around it and framed in and all that kind of stuff. When Daddy decided to tear that down, we got into it. There was a room on either end the rooms were 22 by 22 with 12-foot ceilings. And then the middle part of it was 20 feet wide and 22 feet deep. So that made the overall length is 22, 22 is 44, and 20 was 64. The house was 64 feet long. When we got into the basis of the house, there were two pieces of timber that were evidently 32 or 34 feet long each. They were the full length of the house, and they overlapped each other like this. And there were 3 hickory pegs that were put into them, just like that held them together. And then they ran to the corners of the house. And then the studs in the wall were 4x4s. Now all this was yellow poplar. The 2x4s or 4x4s. And they weren't put on 24-inch centers like we build houses now. They were on 4-foot centers. And they had a notch on the top of them that stuck up like that. And one on the bottom like that. And then they were notched into those big long pieces. There was 2 pieces on the bottom and like the 2 pieces on the top. And these pieces were notched in to those pieces. There were no nails. They were just set in there. And so when we took the tractor and everything, we got up there and we knocked those hickory pegs out of those things. That just loosened the whole house. And we all got a hold of it, and we picked that big long, those 34-foot pieces up, and they were like 4 by 12-foot pieces, huge pieces of timber. And we took those, and when we picked those up, then the studs just dropped out of them. I mean, they were just setting in them just like that. Now, the joist and the floor, they were 3 by 12s, yellow poplar. Now, now lumber comes in 2 inches like that, and these were 3 inches, and they were 12s, and so we used those. And if you'll look in the basement, we used those pieces in the basement. You can look up in the garage out there, and we put one in Daddy's house. About every 3rd joist is from the old house. Now what you can't see is we used those 4x4s studs that we took out of the wall, and they're on each side of the front door, and they're on each side of the windows and the back doors, and we put those in strategic places around the house, and didn't have enough to go all the way around the house. Of course, I had to cut them off because Daddy built his house. He just had 8-foot ceilings. He didn't have 12-foot ceilings. But those 4x4s are in the wall there, and those big joists are in the floor. When the house was torn down, we figured that it was 116 years old. Daddy said that's how old the house was. And when we took those timbers out, you could take a pocket knife and just curl up the yellow of the yellow poplar. I mean, absolutely no termites, no dampness, nothing had ever bothered it at all. And Mama always just raised holy hell. She wanted to just redo the house and keep it. The house was built in the shape of an L, and so you had these 2 rooms here in front, hallway. It was enclosed. Then you had the steps go upstairs. Then you had the 2 big rooms upstairs. They were 22 by 22 each up there. And then you had this L shape back here. And the funny part about the old house is when they got running water and everything, they decided to put in a bathroom. So the bathroom was in this hallway going back to the dining room and the kitchen. And they just set the bathroom in this hallway as you walk through. Hell, I mean, there was no privacy at all. In addition to that, there was a window that was almost floor to ceiling window there. As you tried to take a bath or sit on the commode or anything, it was just wide open there. I don't think they never put a shade up or anything or a curtain. Patty had to, God, she went crazy with that. She just couldn't stand that to save her life. And I finally ended up putting some kind of petition there to walk through and some kind of something over the windows. But then the back part was the old dining room, and in the dining room we had a warm morning stove, and in the bedroom in there where Mama and Daddy and I all three slept, we just had a fireplace. Mama said one year it was so cold that she had a gallon of milk that was sitting on the fireplace, and it was so cold in that room that it froze and busted. There was, of course, the kitchen was on the very back side, and Daddy got this new thing one time. It's called a hot water heater, and it was hooked up to a wood stove. And everybody happened to be out of the house one day, and the pressure valve on this hot water heater went up, and that thing exploded and went right through the ceiling like a missile. It just it just tore everything up. But that was the old house. Mama, she loved the old house. She didn't want a new house. I always thought Daddy built a new house just because I had me a new house. And of course his house was a whole lot better and nicer than my house.